My grandfather's hands trembled as he held it, a rusty dirt-caked pipe he'd just unearthed from the backyard garden. But it wasn't the rust or the age that made my blood run cold. It was the single, small inscription I saw etched near the end. He just saw a piece of old plumbing, something to toss away. But I saw a story, a secret buried for 60 years, and my heart hammered against my ribs. I looked at him, his face etched with the gentle lines of time, completely unaware that this piece of metal held the key to a silence he'd carried his entire life. He'd always been a quiet man, a decorated veteran who never spoke of the war. He'd just say, "Some things are best left buried." But now, one of those things was in his hands. I knew I had to make a call I dreaded but knew was necessary. My voice shook as I dialed the number, my eyes fixed on the faint letters on the pipe LIL. The voice on the other end was frail, hesitant. It belonged to an old woman named Eleanor, a name I'd only ever seen in a faded photograph tucked away in Grandpa's sock drawer. I explained what we'd found, my words tumbling out in a rushed, anxious stream. There was a long silence, then a soft, shuddering breath. "Lily," she whispered, the name a ghost on her lips. She told me everything. Lily wasn't a what, but a who. She was Eleanor's sister, and my grandfather's first love. The pipe wasn't plumbing. It was a makeshift time capsule they had buried together just before he was deployed, a promise to dig it up when he returned. Inside, they had placed their letters, their dreams, a lock of her hair, but he returned a changed man, haunted by what he'd seen. He never went back for the pipe. He never went back for Lily. He shut that part of his life away, believing he wasn't worthy of the boy who had buried it. Lily, heartbroken, eventually moved on, asking her sister Eleanor to never speak of it, to let him find peace. I hung up, tears streaming down my face, and walked back to my grandfather. I didn't tell him about the call. Instead, I gently took the pipe and said, "I think there's something inside." We spent the next hour carefully working it open. Inside, preserved in wax paper, were 2 letters and a small blonde lock of hair. He read his letter, then hers, his stoic silence finally breaking. A single tear traced a path through the dirt on his cheek. It wasn't a tear of sadness, but of release, of a 60-year-old burden finally lifted. If this story has touched a piece of you, if it reminds you of a love or a memory you've kept buried, please, leave a like, not for me, but for them. For every promise we keep, and for every secret that deserves to see the light. Because sometimes, the heaviest things we carry are the stories we were never able to tell, and true healing doesn't come from forgetting the past, but from finally having the courage to unearth it.